And within days, the Prime Minister had written to the European Council President, Donald Tusk, asking for that extension to the extension. And there could even be European elections after all. Confused? You're not alone. Fortunately, Maddy Thimont Jack from the Institute for Government is here. Maddy, let's start with Yvette Cooper's bill. Now, how unusual is it for MPs to approve a piece of legislation against the government's wishes?
It is highly unusual. So there are ways for MPs to introduce their own pieces of legislation in the Commons. These are called private members' bills, but normally very few of them make it to law. And usually that's because the government actually accepts it and provides time for them to actually go through the Commons. So the fact that we saw MPs approve legislation against sort of government whipping and actually get it through, and also very quickly, was quite extraordinary to watch.
Now, Yvette Cooper says this is all about ruling out no deal, but does a bill actually do that? What would it do? How would it work?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't rule out no deal, because you can't really rule out no deal, because the only way to stop no deal is to vote for a deal or to revoke Article 50. What the bill does is it says as soon as it comes into law, the government must move a motion in the House of Commons setting out that it's going to seek an extension of Article 50. And crucially, MPs can amend that motion. So, for example, if they disagree with what the government wants to do, so the length of time that they want the extension to go on for, MPs could amend that. But obviously what's quite interesting at the moment is that the government has now already asked for an extension to Article 50. So I think what the bill really shows is this lack of trust between Parliament and the government. And it also is an attempt from MPs to try and maintain some level of control over this whole Brexit process. Yeah,
you're right. It is because MPs don't trust the government. But is it really a game changer if Theresa May is going to do what they want anyway?
I think not necessarily. I think that the thing that's quite interesting with the bill is that what it also says, not only that MPs have to approve the government, sort of what the government might ask for from the EU, it says that if the EU proposes something different, then MPs will have to approve that. So what it really does is add another stage into this process in a very short, sort of a process that's taking place in a very compressed timetable. So if the EU proposed something different on Wednesday in terms of the length of extension, MPs will have to vote to approve it the following day, knowing that the next day we're technically meant to be leaving the EU without a deal. So it's a bit of a strange situation where you're kind of making the process a bit more complicated than maybe it necessarily needed to be.
And on Monday, it's back in the House of Lords. What happens next?
So the Lords are going to go through the rest of the stages of the bill, and I think what's really important here is they can amend it. So we might see some amendments come down that actually are reflecting the steps that the government has already taken in terms of asking for an extension to Article 50. Not guaranteed, but will be interesting to see if they do that. Once the Lords are finished with it, it will go back to the Commons. MPs will approve or reject the amendments the Lords have made, and it will sort of start this process of ping-pong. And then once all of that is completed, it can go for royal assent and become law.
And could we still leave the EU on Friday?
I mean, essentially, we can't agree an extension unless all EU 27 member states agree to it. So until we've got that sign-off, until both the government, Parliament and the EU all agree what date our sort of extension is going to go till, then there really is a risk that we still leave the EU without a deal on Friday, the 12th of April.
Maddy, thank you very much.